Hey everybody, how's it going? We're back here today with a horn talk that I did not want to wait for because I'm really excited. You guys got to see a little quick sneak peek of this horn last night, and I kind of touched on really quickly how just so happens to be the exact same color as my CSX K5LA. You guys might remember that from the last horn talk that I did, episode 11, and kind of give some backstory on how I acquired that. Well, here we are today with this beautiful thing. So now this, you guys, if you've been listening to my sound clips as I've been uploading them, this is the 80s, 90s parts K5LA. So if you guys want to hear what it sounds like, refer back to that video if you have not heard the sound clip. But this is it. I specifically built this horn with specific parts because everything just kind of worked and came together and ended up being a really cool piece. And so we'll kind of touch on the different parts that kind of make this horn as awesome as it sounds. Really cool for kind of a parts mutt horn. So some of you may remember seeing some of the stuff in earlier videos. So it's an 80s manifold, but this horn was serviced at some point in its life. Well, actually, serviced on that date, 5/2/95. So they had stamped that along with this service tag that the shop actually applied. It's got I'm guessing what is their serial number, and then not too sure what TEA number is, and then the warranty expiration on this would have been 8/2000. So they warranted it for about 5 years or so. You guys remember seeing me get some of these parts in, and I ended up coming up with an idea since I traded away a really cool horn that I really missed. It just worked out really well for me to kind of rebuild, and rebuilt it the same way as that one was built. Of course, I'm talking about 947. You guys no longer see that in the collection. That got traded for some other stuff. And so if you guys remember that horn, it was an 80s, 90s AEM7 947. That horn had been changed a little bit. It was all original 80s horn except for the 1 and 2 were 90s bells, and that horn had a really beautiful tone. So with this one, I ended up building it the exact same way, only this is a CSX version now, and not an Amtrak horn, it's a CSX horn. Most everything on it is original CSX. The 1 is not, but the 2 is a 90s CSX2. The 3A, 4A, and 5 are all original 80s CSX bells. And then, of course, the manifold is an original CSX part. So really the only thing that's not original CSX is the 1 bell. But everything else is. So before we get into what the paint situation is, we'll just kind of walk through the horn really quick. You guys can see wide font back cap on the 5, wide font back cap on the 3A, narrow font big bubble 90s back cap on the 90s 1, narrow font big bubble 90s back cap on the 90s 2, and then a wide font back cap on the 80s 4A. That's literally exactly how my 947 was. At first, it kind of sucked that it wasn't all original parts, but it was still kind of a cool combination, and the combination sounded good, so I basically replicated it with the CSX, with some CSX parts that I had, plus the non-CSX one. And along with the manifold being stamped for 95, and then having this service tag that just kind of made for like a really cool parts horn that looks legit, because it was serviced at some point, so if you kind of make up a story for it or something, you're saying that it was shopped 95, 90s bells. So everything kind of worked out pretty cool for a unique horn. Once again, I will state very clearly, this is a parts build. I am not pawning this off as an original CSX built horn. There's just a lot of CSX parts on this horn that I put together. I do not plan on selling this or trading this to anyone, so I'm being very upfront with what I did with everything here. This is a horn that I just ended up having some parts for, and everything fell together really good where it seems like it's a pretty legit horn, so it's pretty cool. Did the used star lock washers on this to give it that 80s look. That's exactly how my 947 was. Even the 90s bells still had star lock washers on the bolts. All longer hardware, typical of early 90s, 80s horns. The diffuser ring bolts are a little bit longer. The back cap bolts are a flange bolt that are longer. And I know some flange bolts have a serrated bottom. These do not. I don't like using serrated bottom bolts because they really tear in, and sometimes if they bite down hard enough, they're kind of a hassle to get off. I've dealt with some of those in the past, so these are really nice. Grade 8. They're black grade 8, 1 inch long flange bolts with non-serrated bottoms. I ordered those from McMaster-Carr, a really cool website with a little bit of everything that you'll ever need for bolts and other stuff. The bolts that I used for the feet, or for actually bolting down the bells, are original, earlier the bolts, stainless steel, along with the star lock washers, of course. So I'll kind of get into the paint on this now. So I had recontacted the guy that I had got Big Blue from there, or Big Blue 2. Big Blue 1 is what I traded for that. And he's a paint guy with CSX, does a lot of painting for them. And I asked him if I paid for shipping back and forth, if he could sneak this in to his work schedule and give it the nice brand new same CSX paint color and everything as that one has over there. And he said yes, so that was pretty cool. Was not cheap. I did pay him for his time, of course. Paid for the shipping to get it there, get it back and all that. But it's really awesome because now, with this being I'd call it a 99%, with the 1% being the one non-CSX, but it's 99% CSX, so I figured, well, why not have a beautiful, beautiful, brand hammer new CSX paint job done on this? And I asked him if he could. I didn't want it to be a super perfect paint job. I wanted something that looked like it was railroad original. So I told him, paint it how you would paint it if it was on a locomotive. So basically with missing a lot of the undersides of the bells, and then some of the tighter spots but on the manifold behind the power chambers and all that. I told him if he could do that, that would be awesome. Just give it just a normal paint job. He did a little bit better. Honestly, did a little bit better than what I wanted, but we'll tip it up, and you guys can see that there's areas of missed paint, just like you would see on a normal horn that's painted on a locomotive. The bottom sides aren't always going to be that pretty, which I thought was really cool because that really makes this horn look legit. And like I said, that's what I wanted for this project. I wanted this to be such a legit looking horn, and still know that I was able to put it together with parts and make a really cool CSX horn. Some of you might be saying, well, why didn't you just throw an 80s one and an 80s two on there and just make it a legit 80s horn? Well, I didn't have another 80s one or 80s two, so with certain parts of this horn already being on a previous horn that was serviced, it just kind of seemed a little bit cool to do a parts mutt service horn with a legit railroad paint job. So I've been pretty excited about this. I've been working on this project since August. Some of you know I've had some of these parts a lot longer. I've got them like end of winter or early spring, sometime like that. The manifold, the 5 bell, the service tag, and the 1 bell. Now the 1 bell that originally came with that is actually the 1 bell that's on my 80s K5L back there. You guys can see it with the CSX paint on it. So that's why that did not make an appearance. I didn't want to change that horn. So this it was a really cool project. Just something cool. I could kind of rebuild what my former 947 K5LA was. Kind of rebuild that in a different capacity, in a CSX capacity. Get a actual railroad paint job on it. That guy was super cool to hook me up with this. He wasn't even going to charge me to do the actual paint job. He was just going to, have me foot the money for the shipping. But of course, I gave him some money for his time because he did a really, really awesome job on this. Like I said, he honestly did a better job than what he had to do. But you guys can see everything just came out really, really nice. Real nice, and it matches the K5HLA that he did perfect. He used the exact same paint, brand hammer new CSX color. Not quite as dark as some of their older stuff. And my phone doesn't really show the color exact. It is, through my eyes as I look at it right now, it's darker than what it's showing up on the phone. So I am sorry about that my phone isn't really, the color settings are a little off, and I really don't know how to adjust that while filming. I know how to adjust for taking a picture, but yeah, so yeah, I figured I'd do a quick little horn talk on this because this was a super cool project. I've been working on it for quite a while, just getting my parts together here and everything. So I hope you guys, if you haven't seen the sound clip of it, just go through my videos. It's the 80s, 90s CSX K5LA. That's this girl right here, if you want to hear her. And then hopefully you guys can kind of appreciate that it's a parts built, and it's a super legit parts built horn, with the exception of the 1 bell. The 1 bell is a former Union Pacific bell. Came off of a 90s, probably would have been a K3LA. I did not ever have that horn as a horn itself. I just acquired some parts from some of the people that I know in the horn community. So that's how I ended up with the two I've had for a long time. The 3A and 4A I've had for a long time. And of course, the 5 and the manifold were acquired at the same time. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this. It was a really cool little parts project. Came out super legit. I'm gonna enjoy having this horn in my collection for as long as I'm alive, and hopefully my future kids will keep it. But yeah, it's just really cool. The tag, some of you might remember that tag from previous videos. I stripped the old paint off of it, cleaned it up really well, so that way when he painted it, it would come out really crisp and clear, and you guys can read everything on there. Just turned out super nice. I mean, you guys can see my reflection in this. Still have some rust spots on the manifold by the bolts. That I think that's pretty cool. It basically looks like it got painted on the locomotive and then got taken off right away. But that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was clean, really good condition paint wise, but still looked like it was right off the locomotive. So that guy hooked me up. Really cool job he did with this paint, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful. This is one of those horns that sounds just as good as it looks, in my opinion. But yeah, really hope anyone that likes building their own horns and getting stuff like that, hope you guys can appreciate all the work that I put into this, and then the work that he did painting it just came out really nice. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for that episode. The 80s, that's the end of the process for this horn. The 80s, 90s parts, CSX K5LA. So let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, till next time, take care.